All right, Steve, whenever you're ready.
All right, Emily Ducote, this is Steve Jewin from MMA Mania. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm really looking forward to this fight you've got coming up at Bellator 195, WinStar World Casino in Thackerville. You're taking on Kristina Williams. But before I get to that, a few other things I want to get to. First of all, the nickname Gordina. I don't look at you and think chubby. How did you ever get that nickname?
When I first started at the gym, I was a little chunky, and, cutting weight for my amateur fights was a rough time. And so, my coach was Brazilian, and he kind of came up with that name. And unfortunately, the whole gym picked it up. And so since then, it's just kind of stuck. And yeah, it's just stuck.
So now you just accept it, even though it's not anywhere close to the truth. It's like, oh, well, it's a fun thing.
Right. Yeah, I love it just because it's a gym thing. And even though it doesn't physically apply, I still have a soft spot for donuts, and so it does still apply.
As do we all. Donuts are delicious. But hey, I want to talk about this upcoming fight with Kristina Williams. To set that up, last time out, you went almost 5 rounds for the inaugural flyweight title, but unfortunately, at the end of the day, Ali McFarland walked away with the prize. Second time you faced her now. How have you rebounded from that?
Right. I'm not going to lie. Losing in general sucks, and that situation, that fight itself, it was a hard fight, and it sucks. But I'm a firm believer in lessons and in change and in growth. And so I did my best to take away some lessons from that fight, and that's exactly what I've been working on these last 4 months. So, it does suck, and I, was upset about it, but at the end of the day, you got to eat your donuts and you got to move on with yourself.
Right.
So these last 4 months is what I have done. Move on. And I don't forget about it, because I think when you forget about it, you're more likely to make the same mistake again, and I don't want to do that. So I don't forget about it, but I don't dwell on it. I don't let those negative feelings or negative things like that get to me. So I'll take the lessons, but leave the past in the past.
I know you say losing sucks, but the good news is she's the only person you lose to in Bellator. Other than that, you've beaten everybody.
Right.
With Kristina Williams, she kind of burst onto the scene out of nowhere with her performance against Heather Artie. What did you think when you saw that fight yourself?
In my opinion, I think she just outsmarted Heather. It was Heather's second fight, MMA fight, and in her first fight, it was basically a boxing fight in the MMA cage. So I don't think that Heather, it's really hard. You can train kicks, and you can train takedowns, and you can train grappling and submission, but the level at which people are doing it to you in training, it can be hard, and it can be really hard training, but it is different in the cage. And so, with Heather being so young in MMA, it's a lesson. It was a lesson to be learned. And, like you saw in her last fight, she changed and she evolved. And so it happens. And I feel like she just got outsmarted, and she wasn't prepared, or she didn't know how to handle the things that she's never seen before or had to deal with before in a fight. So that's, in my opinion, what happened there.
Well, you've used the phrase lessons learned quite a bit already, so I'm wondering now if you, being the more experienced fighter than Kristina coming in 1-0, if you're going to be the teacher and teach her a lesson.
I've been working really hard to fix my mistakes, and I'm really excited that I'm able to step back into the cage next weekend.
Do you feel like Kristina will be basically in the Heather Artie position now, where she is the less experienced one and you've got all the tools in the shed that she doesn't have?
Right. I'm not a boxer, so the way Kristina is going to fight me, it's got to be different. So I'm expecting, a different version. You can fight 5 different strikers, and it will be completely different every time. So I'm expecting a different fight than the fight that we watched. But I have learned not to focus too much on your opponent. If you're focusing on them, if you're wondering what they're doing or what they're going to do in the fight, you kind of put them above you in your own head. And so instead of putting myself down, or, just thinking of myself less, I am more concerned with what I'm doing and thinking less about what she could potentially do or anything like that. I've learned that, I do better that way. I don't need to focus on what they're doing. I don't have to worry about anything. I'm training all my skills and all of that exactly to be ready for any situation in the cage. And so, my hope is that I'll be able to handle any situation, standing or on the ground. And that's what fighting is being able to put the puzzle pieces together and see what happens in there.
Would it be fair to say then that your approach is the same, whether it's a 1-0 fighter or a 10-0 fighter? You just take every fight the same way?
Yeah, records are important, but records aren't the fighter. So regardless of if she's 1-0 or my record, 6-3, you can be different every time. Like I said, every fight will be different. So, she's 1-0, but I don't focus on record. I don't think about that. And I don't wonder what Bellator does anymore. So, they offer somebody, we accept. That's how it goes. And that's how I want it to be. I don't want to, turn down fights. I don't want to ask for people. I just, whatever comes and go with it, because, I've learned so many things since fighting for Bellator.
You're saying that records aren't fighters. I think that applies to your fight with Jessica Middleton, because on paper her record isn't so great, but she went out there and went to war with you. She fought really hard and really determined.
Right. That fight was crazy. It was on such short notice, which is cool for her. If you get a call, hey, do you want to fight, this girl in 5 days on the main card, she has nothing to lose. So Jessica came out on fire, and, it was a hard fight, but I'm thankful for it. And it was, it was a hard fight, which no fight is easy. And so, regardless of what people think or what people say, it's not all those people going into the cage. It's that fighter, So people can say, about records or about whatever, but, I don't think those things matter.
Now, you've talked about improving since your last fight and working on yourself and being focused on yourself. Where do you think you've made the most improvement in the last 4 months?
That's hard to say. I really think that in my fight, it was a lot of little things. And, of course, I've been working on those, physical mistakes and correcting them, but also, the mental lessons and just things like, concern myself with me more than, opponents, or listen less about critics who want to say things, or just lessons like that mentally are what I've learned. And, I'm just going into this fight I'm just really excited and thankful that I'm getting back into the cage next week. It's been a long 4 months, roller coaster, up and down, coming off of a loss or waiting that long to fight. Normally we're pretty active, but I really think everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. And so I'm just going to do my best next weekend and do my best to put the puzzle pieces together in there.
In terms of waiting too long to fight, what is the ideal amount of time for you? How long do you want between fights?
It's hard. It depends what happens. Like my last fight, the 4 months was okay time. I wasn't trying to get back in there faster or rush or anything. 4 months was exactly perfect. It was what I needed. So it really just depends on the fight. But, normally 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months is good. 4 or 5 to 6 months is too long to be out, because I just feel like the longer you're out, the harder it is to get back in, for me at least. I like to be active. I like to learn the lessons and move on and get back in there and kind of just, the longer you sit, I don't know. At least for me, I prefer to be active, and so Bellator comes to WinStar pretty frequently, which is awesome. They come 3 to 4 times a year. So my goal for this year is to get on, if not at least 3 of the 4, all of them. I would do all of them if we could.
Speaking of which, how satisfying is it for you to have such vocal fan support in Thackerville? All those people who make the trip from Oklahoma City and all the fans in the state who come to see you.
WinStar is amazing. I've lost there, but that doesn't even, deter me from wanting to fight there again. I love WinStar. It's so cool because it's close enough to where my team, my gym can come watch. And, since I fought there, this will be my 4th time. Of course, the fans that go there and have seen me fight before is so awesome. It's really indescribable. Like, when I'm in there, I can hear and I can feel the Oklahoma crowd, and I love it. And some people don't like to fight close to home, or they want to travel or things like that. I love WinStar, and, I just love it. My family's there, and of course this fight being against another Oklahoma person will be different, but I've got the important people there, my family and my team, and so I'm pretty excited regardless.
And well, like you said, the fans know you that go there regularly, so even if you're both from the same immediate area, I think the reaction is still going to be louder for you.
Well, thank you. Well, I guess we'll find out next week.
We will indeed. And one more question before we wrap it up. What is your favorite kind of donut?
Maple bacon donut.
Oh, excellent choice. I love it when it's little crumbles of bacon, like the big strips of bacon on top of a donut. No, but little pieces are excellent.
I agree.
Right on. Well, let me get out some promotion for you. Get out sponsors, teammates, anybody you want to shout out before we close.
I do want to say my coaches, Juliana Galupi and Nikki Burleson, are amazing, amazing, amazing. They're the biggest key to, me fighting. I want to say Morgan Solis is my teammate. She's on the undercard of Bellator 195, so, make sure you're watching her. And my sponsors, Frowit, Apparel, Century Martial Arts, ASN Supplements, Express Cryo, everything like that just is amazing to have, and thankful for it.
Awesome. Well, Emily, I really look forward to this fight at Bellator 195, and hopefully you can treat yourself to a maple bacon donut after a big win in Thackerville.
100%. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you, Dan, as well.